Welcome to An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade, and I love talking about the Ottawa Hospital. We're going to do it for the whole hour, and I'm so excited to welcome our very first guest, Dr. Robert Fahed. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
As a neurologist, we're going to learn so much from you today, and I look forward to it. But I want to find out, how did you make your way to Ottawa?
So, in case you haven't heard by my accent, I did not grow up in Canada. I was born and raised in Paris. This is where I did all my training in France. And living in Canada has always been my dream. I've always loved Canada. I used to come here every other summer because I have family that lives in Montreal. I've always loved that country. My initial plan was to go to Montreal. This is where I had a job offer. And I would say about a year before I moved out, the Ottawa Hospital made me an offer I couldn't refuse. The offer was better. The Ottawa Hospital is, I think, the best place to be to practice medicine. And Ottawa is a wonderful city. So I told Montreal that they were not going to have me, and I came here 5 years ago, and I've been the happiest man on earth ever since.
And we are so happy that you're here.
Thank
you are
you.
doing groundbreaking work in terms of stroke research, in terms of stroke care. Talk to me a little bit about the work that you're doing.
So before I even arrived here, the Ottawa Hospital has been famous for pioneering stroke care. About 10 years ago, they were among the first ones in the world, not just in the country, but in the world, to perform a new procedure to remove the clots from the brains of people who were having strokes by going inside the vessels with little wires. This is called thrombectomy. It's now standard of care across the world. It's done dozens of thousands of times per year in each country, and it saves lives. So the Ottawa Hospital had that great reputation, and that's one of the reasons why it was an honor for me to come here. And the Ottawa Hospital, with its research infrastructure, with its fantastic personnel and expertise, has been a huge support for me to pursue my career in research and help develop new treatments. And there are a few novel things that we've launched that are quite amazing. For example, about 6 months ago, we were the first ones in the world, not just in the country, but in the world, to actually navigate a small camera inside someone's brain to see the inside of the vessels of the brain. That was done 6 months ago. It was a complete success. It's starting to spread across the country, but history will remember that it was done here first. And that's one of the many, many projects that we do every day at the Ottawa Hospital to improve stroke care.
Wow. Why neurology?
First of all, my father is a neurologist, so I'm probably a little bit biased. Yeah. But the brain is, to me, the most fantastic organ in the body. It's basically responsible for everything. It's amazing to think that our intelligence, our personality, our mind, our thoughts, everything is inside that little organ that only weighs about 2 kilos. It's not a lot. And stroke in particular, because this is where you can really make a difference. This is where every minute matters. When someone has a stroke because of a clot in their brain, every minute that goes by, they're losing millions of cells in their brain. Every second counts, and we can make a difference. And this is why I chose that specialty. If we act early enough, we can bring those people back from the dead. We can prevent severe disability and handicap, and we can allow those patients, in the best scenario, to go home a day after as if nothing had ever happened to them. So that's why I chose that field, because we can make a difference, and we've already made so much for the patients, and we're going to do so much more.
Wow. And creatingtomorrow.ca, the incredible $500 million campaign, I think we're at over $318 million right now. It's incredible. All of this excitement around this new campus, around the new research, does it inspire you even more?
So on paper, this project is already fantastic. It's going to be one of the biggest hospitals in the country. It's going to be particularly specialized in neurosciences. And it's putting together all the specialties, neurologists, neuroradiologists, neurosurgeons, etc., to provide excellent multidisciplinary care to our patients. But it's also going to be one of the biggest and most advanced research infrastructures in the country. And there is going to be a ton of infrastructure where we'll concentrate the best of the best minds and scientists on the planet to think about how to further improve care and launch trials. And on top of that, there is going to be an innovation hub that will allow companies and industries to come to us at the very beginning of projects so that we can help them develop new treatments, new devices, and new drugs to improve patients' care and outcomes. So industry and innovation meets science and research, and meets excellent care to provide top-notch level of care for every patient in the city.
In this city?
In this city.
Like, that's what gets me so excited. Everything we talk about is world class, right?
Everything.
Is that what excites you as well then?
Absolutely. The Ottawa Hospital is already providing world-class level, but with this new infrastructure, all the space we're going to have even more possibilities to improve care, and we're going to attract even more beautiful and brilliant minds from across the country and the world so that we can all work together to improve patients' outcomes.
Wow, it's amazing. So I've heard a term today I've never heard before as I was preparing for our time together today, interventional neuroradiologist. So walk me through what this term means, and that's one of your titles.
So it's one of the main areas of my practice. It's also called minimally invasive neurosurgery. It's the new way to perform brain surgeries. Nowadays, for many, many conditions, we don't need to do holes in the head anymore. We put a little needle either in the wrist or in the groin. That gives us access to the vessels of the body. And then we can go inside the body with little wires and treat many, many conditions of the brain. We can treat strokes. If someone has a stroke, we can remove the clot out. We can treat aneurysms. If someone is bleeding from an aneurysm, we can occlude the aneurysm and secure it. We can treat many vascular conditions, vascular malformations. People who suffer from pulsatile tinnitus with that whooshing sound, there is very often an underlying vessel disease that we can treat with this technique. And we can treat all those things just through a tiny little puncture that leaves no scar with patients that can literally go home on the same day. They don't even need to spend the night in the hospital. They come in the morning with an issue, we fix it, and on the same day in the evening, they're home sleeping in their own bed. And this is the future, and it's already happening today at the Ottawa Hospital.
That's incredible.
It is.
And so when you see somebody come in and you see that they're probably really scared, and then you talk to them and you work on them and you perform these, quite honestly, miracles, and they go home, do you ever connect with them again? Do you ever see them again? Do you understand how much you're changing their lives?
So on the short term, after the surgery, all of them always say, well, it wasn't that big actually. I was expecting something way more invasive and tough. And I always say, no, you see, it's minimally invasive. Recovery is very easy. And they're always so happy to come home, if not on the same day, the day after. They never spend more than a night in the hospital. And of course, we follow up on our patients. And what's fantastic about this field is we fix their disease, and it's a permanent fix. So we follow up on those patients year after year, and they're always doing great. We do an MRI or CT scan from time to time to make sure they're fine. But the high majority of them only have that procedure done once, and then they're happy forever.
Are you even, I mean, although your father was a neurologist, you're a neurologist, but are you even surprised at the developments, at how incredible the technology is and the care that you're able to give?
So things evolve really fast, at a very fast pace, because industries are very engaged in this field. Scientists and doctors are very engaged in this field. And the field is, we have basically a disruptive innovation every year or two. So my job is already completely different from what it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And 5 years from now, when we have the new campus, our job will be also completely different, because we have new applications or new disruptive techniques every 1 to 2 years in our field. And that's what's fantastic and exciting about it.
And talk to me a little bit about the dream of the new campus. Like, do you let yourself dream enough about, like, when you're actually in that incredible campus for the very first time, and what it's going to mean and how it's going to change your life professionally? So
we have plans and images of the design of the new campus that are available in the current Civic campus. And I like to daydream about this campus when I see those images. And most importantly, I think about everything that I'm going to be able to offer to our patients with it. Because there is going to be more patient rooms, more spacious, for better comfort for those patients before or after procedures or during their admission. But also, and that's because I, just like a lot of physicians in Ottawa, I'm also a researcher, and the research possibilities and support and infrastructure that we're going to have are world-class level, absolutely incredible. And I think about how much more research and innovation we're going to be able to perform in that new campus. And we will basically pave the way for the future of care across Canada. That's what excites me the most about this new campus project.
Because research today, treatment tomorrow.
So people very often say today's research is tomorrow's care, and that's true. I think that with Ottawa and the new campus, today's research would already be applied to today's care. That's how innovative and rapid we are. And everything that we're working on is paving the way for all the other hospitals across the country, because we are really concentrating the best of the best researchers, clinicians, scientists in the same place. And this melting pot of brilliant minds that are all working towards the same goal with the infrastructure of the new campus, are going to be able to multiply our possibilities beyond control, and we're going to be able to do everything and so much more.
That's incredible. Is there a patient that stands out for you that you think, this is why I do what I do?
I'm lucky enough to have those patients every week, but I guess the ones that really, really touch me deep in my soul are the stroke patients that come to me at the worst moment of their lives, completely paralyzed on one side or mute, unable to talk. And even when they're unable to talk, I can see in their eyes that they're scared, of course. And I'm able to do that procedure where I go inside their body with a tiny puncture and remove the clot out. And the day after, they're completely fine. In fact, literally a few days ago, I treated a very young adult in their 30s for a stroke. And that adult was basically dying in front of us. And we successfully removed the clot. And the day after, that adult was talking to me as if nothing had happened to them. And it was in the middle of the night, and that procedure. And when I saw that adult the day after, I thought, okay, it's worth every sleepless night that we're spending in the hospital, because this is a beautiful example of the difference we can make in a patient's life.
So after a day like that, you're driving home. What goes through your mind as you're making your way home to your own family?
I'm full of adrenaline, and when I come home, I wake up my wife because I'm not very subtle. Right. And she's, of course, half asleep, and I'm full of energy, and I just want to tell her what I did. And we usually have a quiet and respectful argument about her wanting to go back to sleep and me not being able to find sleep. Wow. But she's also a neurologist just like me. She does the same things as me, and she understands the passion and the energy, and it's worth absolutely every sleepless night, without the shadow of a doubt.
Wow. Wow. Would you do anything else?
No, I can't picture myself do anything else. No.
We're going to have another opportunity to talk, and we're going to come back after this short break. But I just want to say how much I respect the fact that you're just so open about how much you love being here.
Thank you.
And that you love being in Ottawa and at the Ottawa Hospital. It's wonderful.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and an honor to be part of that great institution, definitely.
We're going to come back and share more time with Dr. Robert Fahed, of course, from the Ottawa Hospital. CreatingTomorrow.ca is the website you're going to want to visit, because I know you'll want to support the incredible work that Dr. Fahed and his colleagues are doing at the Ottawa Hospital. When we come back, you'll want to be here. Stay with us on An Hour to Give. Hour to Give. Today's all about the Ottawa Hospital. And I don't know if you know, they're obviously raising a lot of money for a brand new campus and lots of great research. And it's going to benefit not only each and every one of us living in this beautiful city, but of course, the incredible physicians. Dr. Robert Fahed is joining me today, and we've already had a chance to chat about your incredible work. I want to talk a little bit more about the stroke work that you're doing. Talk to me a little bit about the difference between a stroke between a man and a woman, because I understand there are some differences.
Yes, similar to other cardiovascular disease like heart attacks, women are more affected than men by strokes. They're more severely affected. They tend to ignore the warning symptoms that we can have at the beginning of a stroke, because women are incredible people who look after so many people in their life, their family, their partner, etc. And for those reasons, when a woman has the warning signs of the symptoms of a stroke, sometimes they'll just ignore it and say, I have more urgent things to do, I'm not going to go to the emergency, as opposed to a man who will seek medical attention immediately. For those reasons that we're trying to fight, by the way, we're trying to change this, women tend to have a worse prognosis than men.
Okay. So talk to me about the warning signs, because I know myself that if I was to see maybe a warning sign or two, I would think, I don't have time for a stroke today. I need to pick up my daughter. I need to record a TV show. So, and I think every woman wants to hear that. Well, everybody, I think, can benefit.
Yes.
So walk me through the signs.
So the first thing to know is anybody can have a stroke. Nobody's too young or too fit or too healthy to have a stroke. That's very important. We do see stroke in very young people who are in their 20s or 30s. So anybody can be affected. And then it's very simple, because there is a very famous acronym called FAST, F-A-S-T, which summarizes the warning signs and what you need to do. F is for face. If you start having a droopy face on one side, as you're eating or drinking, you notice that the food or the water is drooling out of your mouth, or if you have a slurred speech because of a droopy face. A is for arm. If you start to feel weak on one side, and usually it's mostly the arm, but it can also be the leg, the very simple test, if you think someone is having a stroke, is ask them to raise both their arms and holding in the air.
Okay.
And if one of them starts falling, you know that there is a weakness on that side. The third S is speech. If somebody starts to have a garbage speech or has a hard time finding words or saying words or understanding what we're telling them, that's also a warning sign. And then T is for time, because every minute matters. Every minute that goes by when someone has a stroke is millions of cells dying and a decreased chance of having a full recovery after treatments. And the first thing to do is call 911. Don't let the patient drive themselves to the hospital, even if they're feeling fine. Call 911, because 911 will send the appropriate EMS team to assess the situation and drive the patient to the most appropriate center based on the localization of the patient and the symptoms that the patients are displaying fast.
Because I'm assuming things move quite quickly, right?
They need to move as fast as possible, because the treatments that we can give those patients, the sooner you treat them, you give them, the better. Ideally, within the first 4 to 6 hours, you want to be able to deliver all the acute treatments that the patients need. That being said, even if you're seeing someone who has been symptomatic for more than 6 hours, you need to call 911 as fast as possible. So even if the symptoms spontaneously get a bit better and you think that things tend to get better, don't tell yourself, let's wait for another hour, maybe they'll go away. You immediately call 911, because the same way the symptoms got better spontaneously, they can get worse the minute after. So the main reflex is, don't waste a minute, call 911. This is how you save lives.
I honestly feel like you just saved a life. Like just sharing this today. And
I hope so.
And our big, a nice audience in terms of viewers and listeners, I truly believe today, like even that, because I think you even busted some myths there. Because I think a lot of us think it's just men that have strokes, right? There is this feeling like it was just men. Certainly that's what I thought. And then all those warning signs. So thank you for that. I think that's really important.
The difference between a patient that does well and a patient that doesn't do well after a stroke is how quickly they came to the hospital. It's not the treatment that we can give. There are treatments that really make a difference that we can only give within the first few hours. So what really saves the life is the patient or their relatives recognizing the symptoms and calling 911. That's how you save someone's life. I'm just at the end of the line for the last few miles of the run, but if the patient doesn't come to me fast enough, I cannot help them.
Yeah. Does your adrenaline kick in when you know someone's coming? You've been advised that a patient's coming in and you might be able to perform one of these, groundbreaking research
So what's incredible is it's a team effort. It's not just a doctor, it's a team of doctors, nurses, techs in radiology that help get the imaging done, emergency physicians that see the patient in the emergency department and trigger the alarm. But there is a system in the hospital, there are overhead speakers that basically announce a stroke code when someone is having a stroke somewhere in the hospital, usually in the emergency department. And what's incredible is how much instantaneously everybody gets a huge load of energy and adrenaline for the whole team to run to the patient, assess them, do the proper imaging, give the appropriate treatments. And sometimes we have 5, 6, 7, 8 strokes during the day or during the night. But each time there is a new pump of energy that comes within everyone as soon as we hear the code, because we know that we are going to save someone.
Wow. How is this connected to Parkinson's, the work that you're doing?
So Parkinson's is a different area of neurology. Parkinson's has usually nothing to do with the vessels, and Parkinson's is what we call a neurodegenerative disease. So it's also a neurological disease that is treated by neurologists. It's a different subspecialty than stroke. I do see a couple of those patients sometimes, but in modern medicine, every subspecialty becomes a standalone subspecialty, because you cannot nowadays be good enough to just treat everyone and anyone in your field. So within the neurology team, just like any other specialty, we have subspecialty teams dedicating to some areas. So a subgroup of the neurology team at the Ottawa Hospital looks after the Parkinson's patients. There is a sub-team for headache, for MS, etc., and I'm part of the stroke team. So I usually do stroke and stroke only. The only way to be good at something is to do it nonstop, right? That's how you get good at something. So I'm a stroke person mostly.
Yeah, really fascinating. It's amazing to see all of the work that's being done at the Ottawa Hospital, and as we inch closer to that $500 million goal at the end of the day, each and every one of us can contribute. And I think every single person living in this region has got a story about the Ottawa Hospital. I have 100, I could tell you. And I think each and every one of us can contribute to fascinating work that's being done like you're doing.
Absolutely. And those amazing stories, success stories that I can tell about patients that did well, with a bigger campus, with more rooms, with more equipment, with more staffing, with more possibilities, those are more successful stories that we'll have with patients because we'll be able to deliver even better, optimal, fast care to our patients. So I hope when we see each other with the new campus, I'll be able to tell you a million stories like this one.
Oh, I'm following your journey. You're stuck with me now because I'm just fascinated by all of the work that's being done. What would you say to somebody that is thinking about making a gift towards this hospital and towards the research and the new campus?
That's money that will be well spent and used, definitely. The new campus is going to allow us to improve access to care, deliver better care, deliver faster care, but also work on the future's care with new research projects, new trials, innovation, and new equipment. Every penny counts. There is no such thing as small donations that won't make a difference. Every donation makes a difference. We are all working together towards that goal to secure the funding for the new campus because that new campus is going to change not just the city, not just the country, but with the research we'll be doing, it's going to change the world. So let's all work together.
And you recently had done some groundbreaking work. We were talking a little earlier, and that research and that treatment that you gave, that being spread across the country, I mean, that must invigorate you as well.
Absolutely, and it's one of the many stories that I can tell you. The Ottawa Hospital is already famous for their level in care and research in neurosciences. And many companies come to me and come to us every week because they have something that can change the world, but they want us to try and evaluate it first because they know that we have the expertise to find the patient, the first patient that will benefit from it, and also to build the appropriate research and scientific infrastructure to test that new innovation and make sure that it truly makes a difference. So what we did with the camera in the brain, that was amazing, and it's starting to spread across the country. There are many more innovative treatments and devices and techniques that we are trying for the very first time in the world in Ottawa, and there'll be success stories, and they'll spread across the country and across the world.
And all here in the capital. I think that's what most people are surprised about, right? They think that that things are happening in New York or Los Angeles or somewhere else in the world, but the fact it's happening in this city with just over 1 million people, it's pretty inspiring.
I think it's because we concentrate and regroup really the most active minds in research and in care for neuroscience. And all the industries across the world, not just in Canada, we're approached by international companies, not just Canadian companies, but they all recognize that expertise that we have. And that's why they're coming to us.
How do you take care of yourself? Because it sounds like there's a lot of, 24/7 you could be working. How do you care for yourself?
So first of all, I'm lucky enough to really like my job. I love doing what I'm doing, so it doesn't feel like I'm working. I'm really having fun when I'm treating patients and doing what I love. But of course, you have to have some family time. That's very important. Work-life balance is a very important element that is well respected at the Ottawa Hospital. And Ottawa is a beautiful city. So I have 2 little daughters and I have a wife, and we have amazing family moments on weekends and after our days. We go to parks, we visit this beautiful country and what it has to offer. And we have many ways to stay healthy and to stay fit and to keep a good mental health.
And when your daughters are older, how will you explain what you do to them?
Well, first of all, they'll do the same thing as me. They don't have a choice. I'm not letting them choose.
Neurologists, yes.
What's interesting is my oldest one, who's 5 years old, is already asking me questions, and she already herself asked for some books that could explain the organs in the human body. And similar to how my father inspired me to be a neurologist like him, maybe the same thing will happen to my daughter. We'll see.
Wow, that's incredible. And how do other, yourself and your colleagues, when you think about creating tomorrow.ca in this campaign, do you talk yourselves amongst yourselves about how important this campaign is?
What's very good about the Ottawa Hospital is the physicians, the researchers, and the administrative people all working together towards the same goal. So we are constantly communicating about how to design that new campus. The Ottawa Hospital Foundation and the people building the new campus are meeting with the physicians and the care teams on a weekly basis to design the new campus, the rooms, where they'll be, where we need the equipment, the research infrastructure, etc., to make sure that the building is designed and tailored to fit the needs for patients, for care, and for research. So we are actively participating in the process, and I can tell you from what I've seen already, that campus is going to be incredible.
You're incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to have this time with you today, and I know you're going to continue to do incredible work, and I can't wait to watch the journey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Robert Fahed joining us today from the Ottawa Hospital. CreatingTomorrow.ca is where you're going to want to go to learn more. Stay with us on An Hour to Give. Today is all about the Ottawa Hospital here on An Hour to Give, and I'm so excited to welcome Janet McKeag to the show. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Sam. Very good. Thank
I
you.
am so excited to talk to you because you have a very big job, and it is a volunteer job, and it is chair of the Ottawa Hospital Board of Directors and for the foundation. And the foundation is, I don't know how they do it. They are really creating these miracles every single day, raising so much money. But people want to give to this campaign.
Mm-hmm. It's been incredible, Sam. That's probably the most special thing, is to see people come out and raise money and give money to such an important cause. But the team is incredible at the foundation, and frankly, our community. It really makes every moment worthwhile doing this.
The new number I've had shared with me, which is very exciting, $318 million, which I just can't even get my mind wrapped around that. But I know it's been incredible gifts. It's been large gifts. It's been gifts of $100. It's been gifts of $1,000 and everything in between. It's so important that every single person come to the table.
Absolutely. You know, we talk a lot and showcase some of the larger gifts because they're important, and they've really helped us lean in and get this campaign started. But this hospital is for everybody in the community, and we need everybody getting involved and feeling like they're a part of it.
Yeah, and a great way to get involved, the race weekend's just around the corner. Have you been training?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm coming back from, I joked in the fall, I broke my foot. So I got to experience the Ottawa Hospital as a patient. But yes, I'm back training, and I'll be running again. I don't know how many years this is.
And when I think about the Ottawa Hospital and I think about race weekend, I think about Cindy Hooper. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about Cindy.
So Cindy is a longtime friend of mine, and honestly one of the main reasons why I initially got very involved with the hospital. So Cindy and I played soccer together for years. I started her, I like to say, on her journey of the incredible athlete that she is as a triathlete and a runner. Cindy, 11 years ago, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And for anyone who knows of pancreatic cancer, the stats really haven't changed. People generally, like my dad, who also was diagnosed, die within a few months. Cindy started, you know, most people might sit back and say, wow, look at what's happening to me. Cindy's initial reaction was, how can I use my situation to make something different for somebody else going through this? And she started this journey of raising money, very fortunately, for the Ottawa Hospital Foundation. I think the initial was to get a group of people to passionately run a marathon. Myself included, I'd never run a marathon, swore I never would. But with Cindy inspiring people, and she has this gift of opening up the world of the hospital. So when people ask me why, I said, well, it was for Cindy, but when Cindy opened the door and I met people like, you've met Dr. Fahed. Well,
yes.
There's Dr. John Bell, who does oncolytic virus treatments for cancer. When you meet people like this in the hospital, you instantly feel like, wow, we're doing things that nobody else is doing in the world, here in Ottawa. I need to help support. And when you combine that with Cindy's natural charisma and her determination, she just inspired a number of runners to start. And over the last 10 years, she's raised now, we can proudly say, over $500,000 for the Ottawa Hospital Foundation.
I just got chills when you said that. I knew the number was high. I actually, to be honest with you, I didn't know it was that high. I've followed her journey as well. It is incredibly inspiring. And look at you now, chair of the board of the foundation, and participating in race weekend. And people can, and I always say to people, if you don't know someone that's running, or you're not running yourself, you can find somebody and support their team. So we want to encourage people to do that.
Absolutely.
Encourage to support Cindy and
Absolutely.
all of you.
Look for the Cindy Hoopers. There's many people who are running this race, some for the first time, some repeat runners, but it's an easy way to give and to get involved. And it's an exciting weekend for the city.
This city literally comes alive. It's
sure.
So I'll just let you know, I'm usually in the last corral doing my 5 or my 10K, going, oh my heavens, I have so much respect for people that do the marathon. But once again, that's a race for everybody too, and we can all raise money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is fantastic. So when you hear the number $500 million, is it still daunting to you, or do you feel like we got this as a city?
I feel like we've got this as a city, but at the same time, I keep thinking the people who have started this, the generous families and businesses, my organization, RBC, gave their biggest. That's great. But now we need every person in this community to get involved, because it's great that we've got the success that we've had so far, but I guess the message I want to get across is this is a hospital for everybody. Right. And we know that there are challenges today in the healthcare system. There's challenges to access, there's challenges with everything. We want to be a part of the solution. And this is only phase 1 of that step. So we're so grateful to everybody who stepped up, and just now want to reach out to the broader community and say, please, be a part of our team. This is your hospital. Hopefully you never need it, but if you do, you want the researchers like Dr. Fahed here doing the incredible things that they do, and that's what we have in our backyard right now.
100%. And when I think about the Civic Campus, I think about the residents at the time that had the vision to build the Civic Campus. Well, now this is us for this new campus. We have responsibility. I take the responsibility really personally, to be honest with you. I mean, I was saying to Dr. Fahed, I've got 100 stories of the Ottawa Hospital I could tell you. But the bottom line is, I'm a single mom. I live in Richmond. I work like everybody, but I made a gift over a number of years because I felt it was really important, and I wanted my daughter to know, because she'll probably go there for something, right? I mean, that's just the reality. And so I wanted her to know that we were a part of that. So, and I'm saying that not for kudos for myself, but to show that it doesn't have to be, we're not only looking for $1 million gifts. We're looking for $1 million gifts, of course, but we're looking for everybody to come to the table with their piece.
Sam, thank you, first off, for your generous donation. But I think it's a message that Roger Greenberg gave me when he asked me to join the executive campaign for this. He said, what is a big gift for one family is not the same number, but we're asking everyone, because this is so important, please get on board and just give what you can, because every gift is meaningful. I agree with you. This is about teaching our children, our colleagues, our friends, about how important it is to give back to our community. Because if it's not you and me who needs it, pretty sure we're going to know somebody who's going to benefit from all the services.
I mean, we could stand on Bank Street and just say, do you have a story with the Ottawa Hospital? Do you have a story with the Ottawa Hospital? And everybody would. CreatingTomorrow.ca, I love what's been done there, because it's a quick opportunity to go on the website, see what's being done. I think one of the smartest things that was ever done with this campaign, this is just my own personal take, is that it's about the campus, but it's about research. It's about both together, because I feel really hopeful when I talk to doctors like Dr. Fahed about the research, because it is that treatment tomorrow. And he was even saying, Sam, sometimes the treatment can be the very next day. Like, that's how things things are moving.
Yeah. Research is critical. A hospital is only a hospital if you have the research working hand in hand, and that's part of the excitement. We talk about this new development, and yes, it's a piece of the puzzle, but the research being a part of it, innovation, bringing companies to the forefront so that we can continue to do leading things globally, that's really, really critical. I'm just super excited to see how we can truly, it sounds, reshaping healthcare. I don't know what the right term is, but you know, this is a part of making a better solution for future generations and for us.
And I often think about this city. I mean, I know we're growing as a city, but over 1 million people, that this world-class treatment research is happening on Carling Avenue. You know, when I say it like that, I'm like, it's happening in this city, and it's doctors like Dr. Fred. You could see him at the grocery store, right? Like, I think that's a part where I think sometimes we might take it a little bit for granted, and so I don't want to take it for granted.
No.
Yeah.
I often say to people when they ask me, how did you get involved? Why? What happened? I describe it as an onion and peeling back the onion as you get to meet different people in the hospital. How could you not meet Dr. Fhed and say, oh, I have to do something, I have to help him. But there's countless others. I met Dr. Laprade, who runs the trauma, and the stories that you hear from there, and how impactful the new development will be for a trauma patient. Seconds are the difference between life and death. Currently, a helicopter landing on the other side of the road, and the time that it takes to going to the helicopter is going to land on the top, and the ability to build something that really will make the difference between life and death.
Yeah.
Every day I'm at the hospital, I meet someone like that, and I just think, wow. To your point, Sam, we are so fortunate. Most people think of the hospital as a place to go to have a baby. If you get sick, maybe you need an operation, but the stuff that's happening in the research side and groundbreaking, world first, what Dr. Fhed talked about with stroke, that's one example. It's incredible, and it's inspiring.
And are you know, when you go to a cocktail party or you're hanging out with your friends watching a hockey game, do you talk to people about it? Like, do you just casually say, oh, by the way, do you know that I'm doing this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not out of anything, but I just want people to know.
Exactly.
People don't know. They don't know all of the systems that are in place that are because of our hospital in Ottawa. You know, knowing that we're having an impact on rural hospitals and joint ventures and supporting them so that you can have care in your own hospital. The fact that all cancer treatment is done through the Ottawa Hospital, whether you receive it at the Queensway Carleton, it's the program of the Ottawa Hospital. Monarch, I love talking about that because that's the doctors in the hospital working with Monarch to take care of newborns and new moms when they leave the hospital.
That's amazing.
That's just, you know, and I'm just listing a few examples.
Well, we're going to have more time to talk. Don't you worry. We're going to take a short break, but we're going to be back. Janet McKegg's going to join us when we come back, talk more about the Ottawa Hospital and more about creatingtomorrow.ca. Stay with us on An Hour to Give. And we are back on An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. We're talking all about the Ottawa Hospital today and the Ottawa Hospital Foundation's big campaign of $500 million. They're $318 million in, so there's still a chance that you can get involved if you haven't already. Janet McKegg is here to tell us all about it. We've talked all about the campaign, but what I really want to emphasize is the various ways to give. Because I think people think, oh, do I just give a one-time check? How can you do it? So I'm going to tell you what I did, is I took my gift over 5 years and made it monthly. So I know what the plan is, I know how much is coming every single year, and I know it's a 5-year commitment, and it felt really good for my family to do that. So I think people might be surprised, though, that they can do it over 5 years.
Absolutely. And you can do it monthly, as you said, or some people may choose to make an annual gift for 5 years, or others through their will.
Right.
So they may choose to leave a portion to the Hospital Foundation. We're grateful for anyway. And I think the role of the foundation and the team is to say, Sam, how can we help you make this meaningful, but also make it work for you?
Can I tell you? They made it so simple.
Good.
I worked with Natalie Snell. She's amazing, and she made it really easy. And I love that it was an opportunity for, as I've shared with you before, to talk to my daughter about it and really make a family commitment. But I also love the fact that, you know, we could, maybe it's next year that we have a little shindig at our house and bring our friends and family and go, you know what, we're just about at the edge of this campaign. Let's have a party at the house, and let's do a third-party event. We could do a lemonade stand, a bake sale, the third-party events, all of that. We're going to see everybody coming together in various ways.
Yeah, and I would encourage people to think outside the box, do something. Through Cindy, I've seen many different varieties of things and ways to raise money. She's done a charity hockey game where some of the retired Senators players had a chance to play and raised money and raised awareness. She's done small races where she thought only 25 or 30 people would come out, and over 100 people showed up and more money was raised. It takes a village to raise a child, they say. It takes a community to build a new hospital like this.
100%.
So we need everybody in, and let's make it happen.
And Tamarack Race Weekend right around the corner, and I know we're all gearing up for that big day, but that's such a great way to raise money as well, because it's kind of that peer-to-peer. You're going to go to RBC and say, hey, you know, to your colleagues, let's skip going out for lunch this week and maybe dedicate to this particular cause. And I think people are doing that all over the city, right? So it's inspiring.
And there's excitement. And then you get into some challenges between teams on who can raise and who can do this. It's just a great way, and it's a healthy way, getting out, enjoying the city, whether you do the 2K, the 5K, the 10K, or the marathon. The courses are starting to come out, so people are getting very excited about it. And this is a great way to raise money and, again, raise awareness.
As chair of the board of the Ottawa Hospital Foundation, that's a very big role, which we talked about earlier. Does it weigh on your shoulders, or does it bolster you up? A bit of both?
Yeah, Sam, I'd say a bit of both. I mean, this is a huge responsibility. And as you said, this is a once-in-a-generation chance and opportunity to really make a difference. The history, you talked about the old Civic campus and where it came from. The fact that it came out of the Spanish flu pandemic. Like, how ironic is that? 100 years later, we're sitting here coming out of, nobody wants to talk about COVID, but out of COVID, and now we're talking about doing the same thing. At the time, for Harold Fisher, who was the mayor, this was astronomical numbers. People couldn't believe that they were going to do it. And as a community, we did it. And look at what it has done. To your point, all the people who can talk about events in their life that have been touched by the Ottawa Hospital. So this is our chance. That's part of why when I was asked to take over as chair, I said, yeah, it's my responsibility. I grew up in a family, my mom is a retired OR nurse, so medicine and the hospital and understanding that was just a part of our daily talk at the dinner table. But she gave me the desire, and not even desire, but just the responsibility to say, it's up to you. You have to take care of other people. And if we all think of it that way and we all give just what we can, it'll make a difference.
I asked Dr. Robert Fayed, of course, our guest a little bit earlier today, if he ever dreams about, you know, that moment he's in the hospital. He said, oh, I do. I daydream. Do you daydream about that day?
Absolutely. I hope it's daydreaming as somebody going in to see someone in the hospital. But Sam, imagine that you have to stay. It's a scary time for you. You're in pain. You're now in a private room where your family can stay with you. You have the technology that if your family has to leave, they can actually see and talk to your physician. You have floor-to-ceiling windows. You're overlooking a beautiful landscape. That alone, in terms of patient care, is huge. But then you add on top of that the research that's going to be right beside, enhancing every detail of your journey in the hospital. Or I remember hearing from Marcy, one of the victims of the Westboro trauma. And she described what it's like going into our hospital today as a trauma patient, and then with limited access. The change for patients like that when you go into a new hospital that we're building, It's incredible. Like it just, I'm excited. I'm excited about the emphasis on, you know, just care for our patients, but also care for our community.
I picture you there with Roger Greenberg and Tim Kluk and all the players, you know, cutting that ribbon, and this is the day. I allow myself to dream about it, to be honest, because I think it's something that's been coming for a very long time. But to have done it, once again, through the pandemic, continued to raise money during that time. I remember, you know, interviewing Tim Kluk, the head of the Ottawa Hospital Foundation, and many, many times through the pandemic saying, you know, privately just saying to him, Tim, how do you keep going? He's like, well, Sam, we don't have a choice. Yeah. We need this. We need this. So it's an inspiring team over there. And I rarely do this, but I feel like I want to do it with you. Can you give a shout out to that staff team? Because I know, I pretty much know every single one of them. And I just think from your position as the chair, you see the inside work. I'm going to get emotional. How hard that team's working.
Oh, I can't say enough about them, Sam. When people offer congratulations to the team on what we're doing, it's all about the members of the foundation team. Tim as a leader, exceptional. We've seen the reports on employee satisfaction, and you're right, this has been a tough time. Yeah. We had COVID, we had a lot of support for our medical team, but then as people go back to their life, it gets harder, you know. The economy has had a hard time over the last couple of years. To get up every day and say, I'm going to go out there because I need to make a difference and stay positive, my goodness. All of them. Jennifer, I don't want to leave anybody out because I talk to them and I always say to Jennifer, I'm just going to try and do as good a job as you when you speak so passionately. And it's just, they care, you know, and you genuinely know. I'm so touched that you're tearing up over this too.
I honestly, because once again, like I'll just say it, they're friends of mine. I mean, every single one of them that I've had a relationship over a number of years, when I bumped into them at the grocery store, I always kind of pulled them and was like, how are you doing? I know how hard you're working.
Yeah, it is so hard. So we need everybody to step in and help support them because, as I said, this is for everybody. Yeah. This isn't just for certain families or for certain people in our community. This is for everybody.
Yeah. I worked for the Ottawa Hospital Foundation for a number of years, and I think, so I feel that sense of responsibility as well, that I saw how hard, like you mentioned Dr. John Bell, and you know, we could go on and talk about every physician there, but there's just certain moments in my life I think, wow, you know, I had an opportunity to spend time with him and get to know the work that he's doing, and you know, and then you think about, you know, he's a world-class researcher and he's in Ottawa.
Yeah.
It's really incredible.
It is.
What would you say to somebody that is maybe thinking about making a gift and hasn't just kind of made that last step?
Reach out. Have a conversation with us. There's no risk in having a conversation. I think as a community, as a society, particularly in Canada, we're kind of shy. I wish that, and I often say we need to really pound our chests a bit and speak about the pride that we have for these incredible people in our institution. So we're trying to get out there and tell our story. If you have an opportunity to come to, you know, our President's Breakfast or to hear, it will change your life. It will make you understand how special an institution this is and how we have to support. This is our future. It's the future of the city. It's the future of our family, of our friends. Just reach out and you'll be inspired.
For those people that don't know what the President's Breakfast is, I've been there. So tell people what that means.
Sure. So it's a business leader's kind of opportunity to bring guests to the table and to hear from the president of the hospital or the CEO. So Cameron Love, along with Tim Kluk, will get up and talk about what's happening at the hospital, talk about right now maybe the new campus development. We have patients who will share, and I think those are the really impactful moments, whether it's Dr. Fahed speaking about what he's doing, and then you'll hear from a patient whose life has literally been saved by the hospital and the team and the research that we're doing. everything from people with MS who can now walk. And that's because of the research and treatments that we're doing here.
Yeah.
That's not something that's happening. That's a patient who came from Toronto to Ottawa to get the treatment. So the whole goal is to open up and to tell our story and to elicit support to help us build.
And I think everybody walks away from that breakfast about 5 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
It is so inspiring. It is so inspiring. So I know we've talked a lot about the campaign. I'm hoping we've inspired someone today to give. CreatingTomorrow.ca is where they're going to find all the details. Give us a sense of the next step. Is there anything you want to share with us today that would inspire someone to maybe give a gift today?
Please understand that we hear and we know that there are problems right now in the healthcare system. People don't have family doctors. They are struggling to get access. This campus is only phase one of a multi-year project to really change that. I mean, we talk about reshaping healthcare. I'd like to say transforming healthcare. We know something has to change. This is only the first step to doing that. So please be a part of it. Please come help us. Doctors like Dr. Fahed, they're all passionate like this. They want to make a difference, and we need help in order to do this and to make a change.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Janet. Appreciate your time today.
you.
Janet McKeag, of course, she is the chair of the Ottawa Hospital Foundation, and she's a big part of the $500 million campaign to create a better tomorrow, which is, of course, the Ottawa Hospital. CreatingTomorrow.ca is where you're going to want to go to make your gift. Thank you so much for joining us on An Hour to Give.